Hey guys, it's Rombo here, and man, oh man, what a day, huh? Kind of red for most of the stocks, but the beast of ILUS just continues to go crazy. I have here the 5-day, 15-minute chart with ILUS on the deviation setup for a reason. Usually don't have the deviations on my 5-day, 15-minute chart, but first thing I want to give you a little chart lesson. Sometimes different indicators and chart setups will show you information that they won't on the others, especially the deviations like to do that. Reason being is look at the great move that we had here today. And then we got rejected at the 1.5 deviation, right? There it is right there. Comes down, comes back up again, gets rejected on the 1.5 deviation again and starts to come down. Now that just looks like common sense, support resistance uh, type of thing. Kind of easy to see. But on another chart, it's still the 5-day, 15-minute chart, but now I don't have my deviations on. I just have my Fibonacci levels here. And look what happens. It's coming up, looks great. Okay, now I have the regression lines in here, the Robertson's polynomial regressions, which, okay, it's in the sell zone, comes down, starts coming back up right on the average means line here, and starts coming up, and you're like, okay, I'll hold it until we get up until the sell zone again. But all of a sudden, it just seems like out of nowhere, right? It comes back down. You're like, well, why did that happen? And that is the reason is on here you don't have the deviations. Again, it's just a different way of looking at things, but it's very, very important sometimes because you get certain information from one kind of setup that you don't on another. And on this one, obviously, I'll show you again here, it just seems like it stops out of nowhere and comes back down. But then on the deviation chart, we have boom, boom, right there. So it's not hanging in midair or anything. It hit a deviation that at the time is acting as resistance, and we came right straight back down. So that's a little chart lesson here, also a chart reading lesson. But ILUS, again, just looking so strong, finishing relatively high for the day, up 33.8%. So what's next for ILUS? I would say that we had a nice little retracement here. We could maybe see a possible farther down retracement back to the means, or it could continue this torrid pace and continue upward, considering that the market all day long was going down and ILUS is going up. That is what we call strong relative market strength. That means that's a very, very bullish move here. So I would not be surprised tomorrow, even though we had a pretty good topping tail on here, that we could see another day continuing upward. We are above this big black line, the fourth deviation. It only holds over the fourth deviation around 0.02% of the time. So that is something to think about, that it might come back down under this line. Tomorrow we will wait and see. But overall, there's a lot of really good things about ILUS. Fern on the daily chart. This, again, very, very strong move upward here. We had some dips down to the 50% Fibonacci level and continued to come back up. A sign of strength. We were down 3.7% today. So tomorrow I'm looking at what would be really nice would be a nice overall, not just the topping tails and the bottoming tails. This is called being very whippy. But the actual bodies of the candles to maybe come down a little bit to have a little rest from this big move up, and then maybe continuing upward to get over the blue deviation, the number 2 deviation, and work our way up here with Fern. That's what I'm looking for with Fern here this week, is possibly that it would come down a ways, maybe tomorrow, Wednesday, and then hopefully have a strong finish with Fern. As one possibility. Another one is that we would just continue down and maybe get back down to the first deviation and maybe bouncing off that. So that's what I have with Fern. Another really good one that I haven't talked about in a long time is Sybil. Amazingly strong today. Incredible. Again, this one got up to the black level here, and then that got rejected and came back down to the 3.5, under the 3.5 deviation. So tomorrow I'm looking at maybe possibilities of it testing the 0326 range again, and maybe having a little rest tomorrow, or we could continue upward again. Same as ILUS. So strong on a bad day on the market, which is usually a sign of really strong market strength, might be a sign that Sybil will continue to go upwards tomorrow. But always have in the back of your mind, strong moves up usually means a strong move down. You have nice, easy 45 degrees up. You have relatively 45 degrees down. So keep that in mind. What goes up hard usually comes down hard. So always be careful of that. Lock in some profits. If you're in it for the long run, set a stop loss and take profits. And on a strong downturn, then get back in and buy the dips on the way up. But that's what we're looking at with Sybil also. Sybil on the 5-day chart. Again, these are support and resistance lines that I made from the deviations right here throughout the day. And look at where we pretty much bounced. We bounced right off of that green line was made from the daily chart for support, and it bounced right off of that support. And then we tested this resistance. We came up over the resistance here for the daily resistance, and we came close to that. We bounced back down and got close to that again, and we finished underneath the 4-hour, which we're on now, the 4-hour resistance line. So Sybil looking very strong. We'll see what happens tomorrow, and but I would be surprised if we didn't have another good day with Sybil tomorrow. But we are up here pretty high. The average is down here for the stock, so always keep that in mind. And one more, LGBS. I loved LGBS. I made that move right here, darn near. Made a perfect trade on that one. We did break down. We retested the one deviation, like I said before. Around 68% of the time, it's within these two gold bars right here, this channel. And now we're working our way back down here. I have the 4-hour support is right here. The daily support is down here at 0071. So tomorrow I'm looking for LGBS to continue maybe downward to test and hopefully bounce off of 0077 or 0071 tomorrow. Then we would be filling out the move from up above the gold to down at the gold. Now it did break up here, and a lot of the times if it goes to positive 1.5, it will go down to 1.5. But previously we had this move, it went to 1.5, and we only got close to being down at the -1. Here again, that you can't get this on the regular charts, but on the deviations, just look at that. You could tell, boom, it hits the 1.5 deviation, and now we're coming down, and I'm suspecting we're awfully close to repeating this move right here. It got close to the -1 deviation, and now we're getting close to the -1 deviation. I might have gotten too fancy and waited for tomorrow to hopefully come down to the -1 deviation line. We got really close here, but we didn't quite hit it. So I'm hoping tomorrow that it will come down there. I would hate to just see it bounce right away and leave me waiting at the bus stop there. But what I would think would happen maybe tomorrow is the beginning of the day we might come down and test this level, and then we would start another nice run up through the average line and continue up again toward the upside on the +1 deviation. So things are starting to look up for LGBS too, this is looking like it's a good buy-in opportunity on the 20-day 2-hour chart. Again, we had that big massive drop here. We're getting close down to the 100% retracement, so it's looking ugly on this chart, just about as ugly as the way my chart looks. Oh my goodness, this is a plate of spaghetti. But that usually means there's a lot of tug and war going on here, and that's exactly what's going on. The last few days we did drop below the control line. Control line's right here. That's where the bulls are in control. Up here the bears are in control underneath it. So I again wouldn't be surprised if this finishes out and bounces off that 4-hour support at 0.0077 before we start before we start to make the run back up on the 1 deviation line up above here. So again, we were looking at that support on the other chart, and here it is on this chart, and it's just about here off the 1 deviation. So things are looking like it's getting close. But now, just because he hits there, that doesn't mean, okay, now I'm going to buy because it is going to come up. This could be, have an unprecedented move and break below that. And if it does, definitely, then we want to wait and see for a trend back to the upside here. So, but the way LGBS is going right now, it looks like it's going to start testing this and then bounce. And then I'm definitely going to buy on the once I see a bounce here tomorrow. So if it does bounce, we should definitely have a good rest of the week for LGBS also. With that in mind, I hope you guys had a really good night, and we'll see you tomorrow.